I need a family.
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 Let me introduce our speaker for today. Amy has worked in child placement agencies since 1999 and has been with Kids Crossing for most of this 10 years. Over the past 14 years, Amy has talked with numerous prospective foster parents, completed or approved many home study assessments for new families, facilitated placements of hundreds of children into foster homes, answered lots of middle-of-the-night crises or placement calls, and above all, has enjoyed supporting Kids Crossing's amazing foster parents over the years. She's here today to give you an introduction to the foster care licensing process and hopes at the end of the program you'll see yourself or your family a part of the Kids Crossing foster care community. Amy, go ahead.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Kids Crossing's webinar. We certainly hope this process can be very informative to you and hopefully helpful, as Michael said, as you make the goal of becoming a foster parent reality. My name is Amy, and Michael obviously introduced me, and I ask that you join me for the next 60 minutes, give or take, as I provide you with all of the information necessary to have a child placed in your home. And certainly, if I'm missing something along the way that you're dying to know about, please just type your question in the box and we'll try and answer it. So as you're probably aware, there are many children in Colorado of all ages who definitely need a family. And hopefully you're here today because you want a child in your home as well. Most likely you're at a stage in your life where you have determined that foster care is the right decision for you. You might be an older couple, empty nesters for example, who maybe are considering short-term care of children, and maybe even, in that process, mentoring the biological parents can be very, very a wonderful experience. Or you might even be a younger family without children who maybe you're interested in adoption, and you know that foster care can be a way to make that happen. Or maybe you're even a younger family with children that are preschool or infants, and the mother really wants to stay at home with those kids, and you know that if you take in some foster children, you could feasibly do so. Or last but not least, you might be a single parent, maybe at a time in your life where you want more going on and you want to take on a teen and all the excitement that they bring in your home, and you know that in doing so they're going to go to school, and so it's going to be easy to continue your work during the day. So whatever your stage in life, no matter the best child that you think would be the best for your home, we know there's a child, sibling group, or teen out there who needs you. Some might need short-term care, others might need permanency through adoption, and others might just need a home until they emancipate. And some of our kids, they emancipate, they go to college, and they need someone to come back and to take them in during Thanksgiving break or Christmas break from college. So as the previous slides indicated, there are many children and teens needing out-of-home care for various reasons and various time periods. And we're so lucky there's families like yours all here to help a child or teen. So you might be asking yourself, what's next? Most people, when they first start to get licensed, start to feel very nervous or pretty overwhelmed. So why don't you listen to what two recent prospective foster parents for Kids Crossing had to say.
There is so much to do and handle. We needed a guide.
So we needed just that support for financially and emotionally. I think the most important thing is there's somebody there 24 hours a day that they can call, day and night, holidays. It doesn't make any difference. They can always call.
So as Carla and Kathy mentioned, they definitely felt that the help along the way was very needed and very beneficial. And just like with most of you, most likely you have no idea what the licensing process for foster care entails, so you do need a guide. There is too much to handle. We definitely know that, which is why we have a process in place to help you. And you're at the right place as Kids Crossing knows foster care, and we can help you with this entire process. And we can assure you that you are definitely not alone, and we will be here for you every step of the way. So, reality is that every journey starts with a single step, and you have taken that first step by being here today. Becoming a foster parent is definitely taking on a new endeavor. For example, it's kind of like climbing, if you haven't climbed before. Take a second to listen to the similarities between learning to climb and becoming a foster parent.
Most of these climbers were very willing to help a newcomer in the sport, but I did appreciate it even then, because my dad was not a mountaineer. He was a great guy, and he was healthy and fit and could do things with me, but he couldn't take me and show me how to do things because he wasn't an outdoor person. Whereas the fellows were real mountaineers and really loved the tremendous opportunities they had here in the mountains, and were willing to share those with a neophyte who wanted to learn them.
We never thought that we were on our own from the very beginning, because we had a wonderful support group right from the beginning when members of the foundation came into our home and explained very detailed what becoming a foster parent is all about, the whole process, some things that we could expect. And once we went through the awesome training that we felt would be beneficial to every parent in America if they could take this training, we felt very confident that we could do the things that we're being asked to do.
So most of us are definitely scared of the unknown. At least I am. Not necessarily because there's always things to fear, but usually because it's uncharted territory. And I know that's something for myself, at least. It's pretty scary to step into. And for most of you, foster care is definitely that uncharted territory. And the thought of moving forward can feel very daunting. So unless you have friends or families who have been foster parents before, there's probably more that's unknown right now than known. And so we recognize that foster care can seem as daunting as climbing a 14,000-foot mountain, for example, known as a 14er, like Pikes Peak down here in Colorado Springs. Many of us have driven on I-25 and looked up at the mountain, or maybe see it from our windows, and can never imagine getting to the top. And it's pretty scary. I know I lived here for probably 14 years before I imagined climbing, and finally was able to do it. And even the incline is not even much of a portion of the peak, but that's also something so scary that it took me, I think, 16 years to even consider that. So I get it. This view can seem so overwhelming that some people can never even get started. Others might worry about when to hike, or which 14er to pick, or what gear they need, that they never actually take the first step because it's so overwhelming. Others might have a fear of rejection by the trail guide, for example, for not being in good enough shape. Or other hikers might doubt that they'll ever have the endurance to make the journey. So all of these doubts and fears are normal. They're natural and they're healthy, as it shows you have a realistic view, which we're glad of the scope of the hike. And you know enough to know that the trip isn't always easy, nor is it a good idea for everyone to climb a mountain. So let's take a second to hear from Rebecca. She's going to describe her journey to begin the foster care process. And she started this journey thinking she would be making a difference just to the child, but she ended up being surprised about how much she enjoyed helping the child's family also, and how much that whole process changed her life too.
When we got married, we talked about being adoptive parents and adopting children into our family, and started looking into that and ended up at an adoption expo. And while we were there, we encountered Kids Crossing and had never really considered what it would mean to be a foster parent. And like I said, the idea really started to appeal to us when we were hearing stories. I think the biggest challenge was considering considering the possibility of giving a child back to a family, knowing we were going to grow to love these kids, and not knowing what their futures held. And that is the goal of the whole foster care system, is not just to help kids, but to help families. And that was the biggest shift for us. In our minds, it was just perspective shift of instead of just stepping in to help a child, why not step in to help a whole family? And there are times when families can't get past whatever obstacles they have, and kids are able to be adopted into their foster homes and or into other adoptive families, which is great. And we even hope one day maybe to do that. We have loved getting to be a part of families reconciling and coming back together and becoming more healthy. And that has been the biggest surprise to us, that it's not just, we aren't just getting to love these kids, we're getting to love whole families and stay in their lives long term and be friends with them and be a support system for them. So by the time we were finished with the training, we were really convinced that this is something we wanted our family to do long term. There are a lot of meetings and expectations and needs, doctor's appointments and, different things that the kids have to go to. And so it can be demanding on your lifestyle, but very rewarding. And certainly having to say goodbye to kids is hard. But I think what we've learned in the process is that their families, they need and love their families too. And at any opportunity that those families get to be reunited and connected and made more healthy, strengthened and supported so that they can be successful long term, that's the ultimate goal. I think just walking in ready to help and extend whatever you can to that family makes such a difference in their journey to get their kids back.
So as you heard from Rebecca, one of her fears was giving a child back to his or her parents after you take care of them for so long. And we know that's a realistic fear for probably many of you, and it should be, because it's a tough thing to go through, certainly. But it's a good example about how we can be here to help process things and help you along the way. So let's talk about some of the other ways that we can help. One way that Kids Crossing can help is with preparation. Hiking a 14er isn't something you wake up and decide to do the morning of, nor is it something that someone else can force you to do if you're not ready. You have to be totally ready to make the journey yourself, and this is a process which typically makes the type of decision one that you've considered off and on over the course of many years. And probably just like why you're here now to start the foster care process, you may be here now versus a few years ago because maybe you're at a more stable place in your life. Maybe you feel that you're more equipped. So just like deciding to climb a mountain, you're here as you are committed to the foster care process. You've already done some prep work, probably to get yourself and hopefully your whole family physically and mentally ready. And this prep work is definitely crucial. It's crucial for safety if you're hiking and for endurance if you want to make it to the top of that tall peak. And this prep work is crucial for you as a prospective foster parent too, for all the same reasons. And Kids Crossing is here to help you know how to prepare. For example, we'll help you know how to child-proof your home. If you're going to take younger kids, for example, what the types of things you need to do. We'll also help provide training, for example, beyond consequences that we do through our agency. It helps if you're not comfortable parenting somewhat difficult or traumatized children, we can certainly give you the tools to do so. Or maybe you're worried about getting a break down the road if you get burnt out or have a difficult child, and we can help you create a respite plan so you have more support from others if that happens. We're also here to help you prepare, to point things out that you might not have thought of yet, and to help you know what challenges might come your way. Our trail map may not guarantee that you'll make it to the top, but like the red arrow, it will point you in the right direction, and it will show you some of the obstacles that might come. And it will also give you estimations of the time commitment it's going to take to do this, what to do when you need a break, or maybe if you get lost along the way. So just like regular parenting, we know, believe me, we know, foster care can be really tough on parents. But we hope that with our expertise, like our map and our help and experience, we think that we can eliminate as many of those obstacles that we can along the way. So all guidebooks suggest that a hiker never hike alone. And we also suggest you do not start the foster care process alone. We have guides or experts who have done this before, and they'll be a part of your team and help you stay on track. At Kids Crossing, our staff and current foster parents are the experienced guides. These guides may see the storm clouds coming your way before you do, and we'll try and help you make good decisions about the type of children placed in your home. We'll look at, for example, if you have children of your own right now, what ages they are, what genders. We might look at your house in terms of the bedrooms and see what the space is in your bedrooms, if you have enough, maybe your seat belts in your car. We'll look and see if you are working, if you're working during the day or during the night, what kind of population we think would be the easiest to take care of based on that type of situation. Our staff are very helpful, and they may hold your pack for you when you get tired, or they might offer you a granola bar if you need some nourishment. But the best part about our staff is their days do not end at 5 o'clock, because we very much recognize that your job parenting children doesn't end at 5, for sure. All emergencies seem to happen at 5:01. We're here to help you no matter what time of the day you need our help. Our staff will also give you words of encouragement. When the terrain gets steep, when you're at a Y in the trail and you're not sure which way to go, they will point you in the right direction. Our foster home supervisors are here to be your listening ear. You can call them anytime just to vent, and to keep you going when the going gets tough. The guides will also help you pick the trail to take that's the best fit for your fitness level. For example, some of our more experienced potential foster parents might take the shorter but steeper path. Maybe they're going to work with more difficult kids, or they're able to have more children in their home at one time, and they might need less support from the agency. Whereas we might have other foster parents or couples that have never actually parented their own children and might need a little more guidance or training as they kind of learn the ropes. But the bottom line is that our staff have helped hundreds of families, like yourselves, successfully complete the foster care licensing, and we will work with you one-on-one to ensure that you understand the process. We will help you figure out the best child or children for your home and your situation, and we will listen to any concerns and help you find the answers to all your questions. So the most important preparation for hiking is packing your gear. Without a pack of supplies, you will not be able to make it. You will not be in it for the long haul for sure. And just like foster care, tools and resources are needed along the way to ensure that you have the endurance to continue through the journey. For example, we have mentors, trainings, foster home supervisors, support groups, coaches, caseworkers, therapists, family pres workers, respite providers, tons of people, and they're just a few who will be your first aid kit, granola bars, water, walking stick, and rain gear during the storms. Okay, so I hope you're saying, I know I want to be a foster parent. What are my options now? How do I get licensed? What do I do? Well, just like there's 53 established 14ers in Colorado, there are also numerous child placement agencies and county departments that you can choose to be licensed by. However, we definitely feel that the benefits of a private nonprofit agency, like Kids Crossing, for example, the benefits are exceptional. For example, in comparison to large county departments, private agencies are easier to navigate. You can walk in and everybody knows your name. You can call the emergency phone at night and you're going to know the staff person that answers. Sometimes it's even your foster home supervisor. Private agencies also have fewer staff, and their staff usually have smaller caseloads. So this all means that you're going to get a lot more support and attention. And best of all, as a foster parent for a private agency, you're actually eligible for kids from all counties in Colorado. When you're with a county agency, you can only take children into your home that are from that particular county. So Jan Fabian and her husband Larry started Kids Crossing way back in 1992. So let's take a moment to hear about the early days from her and listen to how important support was to her as a foster parent herself, and how that made her even more committed to providing support and starting an agency that had this mission to other foster parents.
So there was an advertisement on TV to become a foster parent, and I looked into it. When I was 21, you can become a foster parent. The expenses was outstanding. They were a lot of money, and you don't understand foster children. There wasn't anybody that we could talk to except just we talked among ourselves. So we needed just that support for financially and emotionally. So we started Kids Crossing for the two of us, two families and us, so there was 3 families. And word got around that we did offer support. We had 24-hour support. If you called in the middle of the night, we would answer the phone. So we went from 3 families, and every month we'd have maybe 2 more families, and then we'd keep talking about we're going to stop, but then more people came, and we saw more of these kids we could help. We started in El Paso County, and then we took a child from Pueblo County. The homes that, I think they would talk to each other. And the department in Pueblo, they would refer a lot of children to us because of they saw that if the child had a need, we met that need. Whatever it was, building a bed, a special bed, or whatever we had to do, we would meet that child's need. And word just got around, I think. We knew if we needed it and we could do it, that somebody else needed it, and we could help everybody else with it, or anybody that wanted it, we could help. I love the children, and I love working with the birth families. You cannot meet the foster child's needs without helping their mom and dad, because that's just their mom and dad, and hopefully they're going to go back with mom and dad. And if we don't make friends with them, then the child is the child's in the middle and doesn't know where to bond to and where to look up to. So we're very strong in working with the birth families. I really enjoyed working with the birth families, the children's parents. What we try to do when we get a new foster home in, we try to hook them up with an ongoing home that's been a foster parent so they can ask questions. I think our staff has a different mentality. Our staff we're like a mom and pop. Even though we have a lot of foster parents and a big staff, we still like to be like a mom and pop thing and keep it homey. We do lots of training. A lot of it is mandated by the state. You have X amount of training to be licensed, and then you have all these requirements to be licensed, and there's state requirements. Then we do love and logic training for our foster parents. We have monthly meetings with the foster parents if they want to attend. But every year you have to have so many hours of training, and we try to provide that. Well, we love our children. We love our foster homes. And I hope if anybody's interested that they would give us a call. And we might not be the ones for everybody, but give us a chance, because we'll try to meet the foster parents' needs. We'll try to be there. And if there's a problem, you call us, because we'll try to fix that problem.
So here's another picture of Jan, who you just heard from. She was talking about how Kids Crossing obviously was started for foster parents because of the experiences her and Larry had themselves as foster parents. And again, how important the support is for both new and experienced parents along the way. So this brings us to why we strongly believe that Kids Crossing should be the agency you choose to have as your guide in this foster care adventure. And we recommend that you become licensed by Kids Crossing, as who knows better what a foster parent needs than another foster parent. And you, as foster parents, are the priority. We are here to support you, and we feel our jobs are to remove the boulders that might impede your progress. Our many experts are within reach, and we have many staff who have years of expertise in the field. We don't just have one backpack with tools that work for all families, but instead we really aim to get to know our families and figure out what they really need, and hopefully offer the support uniquely geared towards their needs or wants, and we're able to be creative and consider out-of-the-box ideas in this process. Stable. Kids Crossing is definitely stable, and you, I'm sure, are looking for an agency who's been around for a while and who's been in business for a long time and will continue for a while in the future as well. And last year, Kids Crossing celebrated their 20th year, and we had our anniversary party It was wonderful. And over the past 20 years, much has certainly changed, but our mission has really remained the same, and that's to keep our eyes on the kids and support our families. Kids Crossing has experience too. You certainly want to be with an agency who knows the ropes, who has the knowledge and the experience necessary so you as a new foster parent don't have to worry about those details. You have a tough enough job taking care of the kids in your home 24/7, and we certainly want to be able to take away all those other details and do those for you and help, like the paperwork and file compliance and so on. We certainly are here to help with that. And we are here 24 hours a day, as we said before. You can call us anytime with questions. And we do have 13 staff, for example, who have been at Kids Crossing for over 10 years. And those staff, and our newer staff even too, have a huge wealth of knowledge and expertise in child welfare to share with foster parents. And this longevity of staff also shows you that Kids Crossing is not only a great place to be licensed as a foster parent, but it also treats its staff well too. So Kids Crossing is the largest child placement agency in the state because we have 3 different offices along the Front Range. The top picture is our Denver or our Aurora location, and the bottom left is the Pueblo office, and then to the right is Colorado Springs. The Colorado Springs office is our largest office, so we do have some services there that aren't available at the other offices. But in general, it's great to have that representation around the state because it shows you that we have great relationships with the counties in Colorado and that we do get placement referrals from children from all over the state. And although we're the biggest, the fact that we're separated by the 3 offices, it doesn't make you feel like you're with one huge agency. It's nice. It makes you feel like you're kind of broken up with a little community. And because we're larger too, though, we do have some financial resources to offer, some perks that other agencies might not be able to do. For example, we have trainers that can come to your house and help offer some one-on-one beyond consequences training. We do have Christmas parties at all 3 of our different locations each Christmas, and donors from the community will adopt children and give tons of gifts, and we have Santa come and give all the presents out. It's a wonderful experience. We also do foster parent appreciation banquets. We do summer picnics, lots of different things. We really want to create a community because we really feel like, for example, when you're planning a big hike, you start to think about hiking a lot, and often you want to talk about your upcoming journey with others also, especially when you talk with other hikers who have a similar interest or maybe have hiking experiences of their own to share. And then also down the road when you're in the middle of the hike and maybe you're getting frustrated, you feel like you can't go one step further, other hikers are probably who you want to talk to. They're the ones you want to hear that encouraging word from. So, for example, just like when you're with Kids Crossing, you're automatically a part of this community, and this is and easily within reach to the many resources that we offer within the community. Other foster parents are here to be your mentors, like we had mentioned before, and your listening ear and your support. And we do hold those monthly support groups that Jan was talking about to give you that opportunity to connect. Our families really do help each other out. For example, they'll take your pack when you need a break. And in the foster care world, this is called Respite, when another family actually takes care of your foster children for you so you can have that break. And when you're at Kids Crossing, you are connected to this invaluable resource, and this is kind of hard at times to access at other child placement agencies. For example, we just had one foster family transfer to us from another smaller agency, and they transferred specifically because the agency they were with, they take really special needs, medically fragile children, and the other agency did not have families that could do respite that had that kind of expertise or comfort level. And so by moving to Kids Crossing, there were numerous families that actually had that expertise to help them, and this family was able to get a much needed break. So why don't we take a moment to hear from Beverly. She's going to talk about how her and her family decided to start the foster care journey. And also, I like how she admits she was a bit naive in the beginning because she thought, hey, my husband and I have been great parents to our own kids, so isn't it going to be easy to fix a foster child?
My husband and I decided that we wanted to make our family larger, and we had one child that we gave birth to who was 9 years old at the time, and we decided we wanted to make a larger family. And so we thought the foster adopt process would be the best situation for our family. Well, I think that we were very naive, and we thought that we would be able to fix every child that came in. We were great parents with our single child, and so how could we not be great parents to these other children that needed to come into our home and be nurtured? And we thought that that would fix everything. Nurturing and loving a child, that would fix everything, and we didn't realize the effects of trauma, drug abuse, alcohol, illegal drugs. Our first foster placement was a sibling group of 5 children, and because we only had one child and because we were very eager for a placement and we weren't seasoned veterans, we said yes to a placement of 5 children, and the children ranged from ages 9 months to 8 years. It's been the best. I can't imagine our life any other way. Hindsight is 20/20. There are lots of things that I could have done differently. I don't know that I would have done much differently, because when we started this endeavor to create a larger family for ourselves, we decided that we would go at it full force. Just knowing the impact that we've had on any child for however small time or however long time, for forever or for a few weeks. We've had children for just a few weeks that I know that we have impacted, because they've been held, they've been loved, they've been nourished. They know the difference. They cellularly, innately know the difference.
So as Beverly was sharing, the journey her family took to become a foster family hasn't always been easy, certainly, but it has been a great experience, and she can't imagine life any other way. So we definitely want to help you with the basic steps so your family can have this experience too. So in order to become a licensed foster parent for Kids Crossing, let's talk about some of the paperwork that is involved, because I'm sure that's kind of where you want to go next. So your first step is to request an application packet, the whole packet, to be sent to you in the mail. And you can easily do that at the end of this webinar. We'll walk you through that. And so to expedite the process, you want to start with 2 things, the application and the background check. So first, with the application, you're going to complete the state application, which is a couple pages and pretty simple to go through, and then the background checks too. And the background checks are, I know, the most dreaded part of this whole process. Everyone hates walking into the police station and getting some ink on their fingers. But just remember, we definitely do these so we can make really good decisions about our applicants to ensure our kids are well cared for and going into good homes. So the 2 background checks that we do, one is the fingerprint card, which after you get completed at the police station, you turn into us and we'll submit it for you. And this enables us to check both Colorado Bureau of Investigation and Federal Bureau of Investigation. And then another check that we do is the background investigation form, and this is a really easy form to complete, and it allows us to check the Central Registry database, which indicates if someone's been founded for child abuse or neglect in the state of Colorado. So if you do have any questions or concerns about this part of the process, just contact me and I'm happy to talk it over with you. So the background checks do take a long period of time. They take up to 3 to 4 months, and so because of that time frame that it takes just for that part to be completed, there are other things that you can do while you're waiting for them to come back. So let's talk about those next steps. So while you're waiting for your background checks to come back, you can definitely start your training. For example, the core training classes would be sort of the main thing that's required for all prospective foster parents. And these classes are 12 credit hours. And Kids Crossing, we hold them over the course of 2 days, usually one evening during the week and then one Saturday class, and you do attend both of those. And so this is a great time to meet other hikers, compare stories, talk about fears, and certainly learn the ropes and get your trail map. The other training that you do need to make sure you have is CPR first aid. Some of you might already be certified somewhere else and current on your certification, so just give us a copy. That's great. But if you don't have the certification, you can take the classes just about anywhere as long as they're not online. Or if you want a connection to a resource, a person that will train you, we have names of people in all of our offices that do that. And the cost is usually about $50 a person for this part of the the training, and just so you know, that is really about the main cost involved in the licensing process. So there are some other documentation type steps as you complete the licensing process too, and other things, of course, that you can work on during your background checks. For example, physicals are needed for everyone that resides in your home. It's a real basic physical. We have a form. It's on our website that you can check out, and it's not very extensive at all. We do ask for copies of driver's licenses and car insurance and registration for anyone who's going to be driving kids around. We do reference checks. So on your application, you'll have a chance to put names and addresses of people that you want us to contact. We do ask for pet records to make sure pets are current on vaccinations. And then there are other policies that we have you review and sign. One example I'll give you is the discipline policy. Rules do state that foster children cannot be physically disciplined or restrained, and so we make sure that we go over some of those things with you in the beginning, just so you know the expectations down the road. So after all that paperwork, we do start, and the background checks are back, we do start the home study and then the home inspection, and they're kind of the last two steps in the licensing process. And the home study is really kind of the biggest part of this, and it's our chance to get to know your family, and really we want to know all you have to offer a potential child. We talk about a lot. We talk about your childhood, relationships, your health, your parenting philosophy, your extended family, support systems, finances, and so on. And this process does take about a month with a few visits to your home during that time too. So then the last steps there will actually come into your home and do the home inspection, and this is the safety inspection of your home to ensure that your physical space is appropriate and safe for a child. So as it says here, it typically will take about 6 months for all of these different steps to be completed. So hopefully I haven't scared you off already. Our children needing foster placement really deserve the best. So we ensure our assessment process is really thorough, and we really want to make good decisions about the homes and the families that our children are placed into. So once this process is complete, you're a licensed foster parent, and you're eligible immediately for the placement of a foster child, or maybe two, into your home. And at this point, too, your very own hiking guide is assigned to you, otherwise known as your foster home supervisor, and they'll be the ones visiting your home at least one time a month, sometimes more, and really helping you as you hike. You'll probably need them a lot in the beginning and maybe less later on, but they're always there for you. You just need to shout and they'll come running. Also, your backpack will be constantly replenished with what we, or you and your guide, think that you need to be successful. For example, respite care is available to give you a break when you need it. Trainings will be offered that are geared towards the type of kids that you actually have in your home or want to work with, and there'll be coaches when you need a word of encouragement along the way. There will be the fellow hikers who have paved the trail before you and can certainly understand better than staff what you're actually going through. And for example, when you might feel like you're in the dark with why a child is acting out in a certain way in your home, we can involve the therapists, and they can act like a headlamp and shine some light on the child's behaviors.
Now, what you have in front of you are some statements that may or may not be myths about foster parenting, and as you know, many of us will bring a lot of thoughts and ideas about foster parenting, and we certainly have a lot of images on TV and in books that foster parenting is not always the best kind of environment. Amy, would you like to go through the different responses?
Sure. Let's talk about the first one. You have to be wealthy or own your own home to be a foster parent. So certainly the fact is that foster parents do need to be financially stable, and that's according to rules, but they don't have to be wealthy at all. Home ownership is not a requirement of our foster parents, and we have foster parents that are doing care in apartments or maybe condos as well, so that's just fine. There are rules about how many children you can foster based on the number of bedrooms in your residence or the square footage. Ideally, a foster parent will have at least one extra bedroom available for foster children in their home. The next one, you have to be married to be a foster parent. The fact is, definitely not. Single parents can be wonderful foster parents, just like they're wonderful regular parents. But we do recommend that any parent have a person they can count on for support, for backup. For example, if you do work during the day and you have kids in school, you're really going to want someone to help you out if you can't get away from work, for example. The next one, someone has to be at home with the children during the day, so people with full-time jobs can't foster. And the fact is, people work full-time when they have biological children, and it's no different with foster care. And certainly, as we said, we want you to be financially stable, so having a job is helpful. Daycare costs, however, are not paid for beyond your regular reimbursement. So foster parents must be prepared to handle the extra cost of daycare if they choose this route. And so we may recommend you consider school-aged children if you do work and don't want to pay those extra costs. Myth. My children are grown and gone. I must be too old to be a foster parent. The fact is that the only age requirement is that foster parents must be 21 or older, and we definitely think that empty nesters can make wonderful foster parents and find it very rewarding. You have to be a perfect parent to be a foster parent. Well, we know, if you're a parent yourself, we certainly know there are no perfect parents out there, and we're always looking for people who just have the commitment for sure and the desire to help kids, and we can always train you to parent if you don't come with experience. Myth. I will have to accept a child or group of children for placement that I do not know anything about or might even be uncomfortable accepting. Well, the fact is you have control over any child placed in your home. Certainly, it's your home. You can make those decisions. And you can choose the number of children you think that you want to work with. You can choose the issues the children may have that come to your home, the age or gender of the children, etc. And we will work within your parameters and always tell you everything that the referring county Department of Human Services communicates to us, which, granted, sometimes isn't a lot, but we'll always tell you what we know. And you can always say no. We practice saying that all the time to our families, so certainly you can always say no. So let's listen to one of our last testimonials. This is from Marnita, and she's going to reflect on what it was like to be licensed by Kids Crossing after being with a previous agency, but just how much support she felt that she got even from the agency during the licensing process before she was even an actual foster parent.
I am a group home parent now with Kids Crossing. I got into being a foster parent. It's been over 9 years now. And my initial thing was to get into it just to adopt. And it turned out that it has become an altering life for me because I now do it full time. I don't know what I would do without Kids Crossing, really. They most definitely had helped me. I mean, to say this, and I don't say it very mildly, they actually carried me for the first year in trying to get me prepared. I don't know what agency would take the time out to really work with someone for a year before you even get started, to making sure that this is what you want to do. This is how we go about it, having me come to meetings, meeting with me, taking sometimes an hour out of the day to meet with me to try to figure out what I need to do here, and then giving me the resources of how to get those things started. I have learned that Kids Crossing is more than just an agency trying to get more families in to increase their financial budget. Kids Crossing is really out to not only to better you as an individual working with very difficult children who are in foster care, they are looking at you actually becoming a better person as well.
Definitely support. I think our agency, we're a large agency and we have a lot of homes and group homes, and I just think that we're all here for our families. I think what's great is that we have everything in-house, so meaning like we have caseworkers, our home coordinators, our therapists, we have all our licensing people that help us with our foster homes and group homes. That's what I love about the agency and just working with everybody I work with.
Well, why don't we move to question and answer? I know I saw one question so far that came up. If you have other questions, certainly type them in at this time. But the first question was, how big do bedrooms have to be? And the square footage of the bedrooms, there has to be 60 square feet of sleeping space per child in a bedroom. So that can kind of help determine how many children can be in a bedroom at one time. So are there any other questions that that you want answered, just type them in. Otherwise, we have just a couple already prepared that people might ask too. And oftentimes people want to know what type of children are placed in our foster homes. And really, we work with all types of kids from 0 to 18. We work with kids with many different types of issues. Some might be medically fragile, some might be delayed, some might be just having delinquency issues or behavioral issues, and so on. And certainly all of our kids have been abused or neglected by parents, which determines the placement being appropriate. And as I mentioned too, we get kids from all counties in Colorado. So how long are the children typically placed in your home? This is the most popular question asked, and it is the one that we cannot answer. It is so hard to predict. Each child coming into the system has a very different type of unique situation, and one child might stay until a parent's able to care for them. Another might stay a few weeks until a relative is identified. Another child might stay until he or she's adopted. And so it's really hard to say, but usually within a year, for sure, the child is going to find permanency one way or another. And so it's definitely less than a year and often 3 to 6 months. How many children can you have in your home? Well, as I mentioned with the bedroom space, the square footage does certainly have a factor and impact on the amount of kids you can take in, but the state does allow up to 4 children, foster children, in your home at one time. And if you do have a lot of children of your own, there is an actual maximum of 8 kids, which would be a combination of bio children you might have, adopted children, and then foster children too. What interaction will I have with bio parents? This, of course, differs too depending on the situation of the case, but typically you're going to be asked to talk with parents maybe in the beginning of the case when we have what we call icebreakers, and other times you're going to be interacting with them as you take children for visitation, because the children are always having visits with their families if they're involved. And at times you might be asked to facilitate phone calls with the child and the parents too. The parents really never know where you live unless that's information you give out to them on your own, though. How and when am I paid? Foster parents are paid one time a month on the 25th of the month for the previous month, and your foster care reimbursement is determined by the child's level. For example, the transportation that might be needed for visitation and so on, the level of behavior management that you're providing, the amount of educational intervention, and so on. The foster care payments are considered reimbursements, like I said, and so therefore they're actually non-taxable income.
Okay, Amy, we've got a couple questions that come in here. So what is considered financially stable for fostering?
Oh, sure. Well, financially stable, we would consider the fact that you can meet your monthly obligations on your own with whatever income you have coming in. And if you can sort of determine that that's the case, we don't do a lot more digging or do a credit history or anything like that. We just really want to know that whatever your regular income is can meet your mortgage or your rent and your other household expenses, and then the foster care reimbursement would just be anything above that. We just don't want situations where people are dependent on foster care reimbursement, as it's something we can never guarantee.
Sure. Now, Lee has asked another question. Does each office have caseworkers and therapists?
No, each office does not have the same type of services that we provide. As I mentioned when we were looking at the pictures of the offices, the Colorado Springs office is our largest, and that has different services than the other offices. So, for example, the therapists that we have are actually housed in our clinic in the Colorado Springs office, and so Denver kids, for example, would seek treatment at one of the local mental health centers.
Okay, great. Now, Carla has...
I just saw another question. Oh, sure. I saw Sarah asked, what if a child becomes dangerous in the home to themselves or others? And that's a great question, Sarah. And certainly at times there can be situations that might feel unsafe to a foster parent or the other children. And in those instances, certainly kids can be removed from homes. We certainly don't like to have children removed from homes if not needed. But certainly there are times where we would want to remove a child immediately if they were in danger of hurting themselves or another foster parent or child.
Okay. Carla has asked a question about paying for fingerprinting and background checks. Who pays for those?
Oh, sure. Paying for fingerprints, they are typically depending on whether or not you're a resident of the area of the police departments you go into, and typically that is going to be about $15 a person to get that card completed. And then when you submit it to us, we will actually pay to have it submitted to CBI and FBI. So that's your only cost would be that $15. So really beyond the CPR first aid cost that I talked about and the fingerprinting cost, there aren't other costs associated with getting licensed at all.
Okay. Carlos asked the second question is, can we take kids with us on vacation? Good question.
Good question, Carla. We love when foster parents take kids on vacations, especially Disney. No, really, our foster children, sadly, often don't have a lot of chances to go out of state or go camping even. And so we really encourage you to take kids wherever you go to be a part of a normal life. However, there are times, of course, that depending on the case, it might not work. So it's just a good idea to bring it up to the caseworker as soon as you know that might be something that you're planning, and then they can put all the different steps in place to make sure that approval is there, whether it be asking parents, asking the judge, and so on. But usually it's something that works out.
Another question has come up about paying for the foster child's medical bills or insurance. Or are they provided insurance?
Sure, another great question. They're provided insurance through Medicaid, and that covers any kind of medical issue that they might have, any kind of dental issue, any mental health issue that needs to be taken care of. And so the Medicaid covers that 100%. So foster parents do not have to worry about insurance or paying for any of those kind of costs.
Okay. That looks like that covers all the questions. So anything you want to say to wrap up?
Sure. I know that you're probably all sitting there, and maybe you're looking at your computer screen, or maybe you're looking out the window and happen to have a great view of Pikes Peak. And maybe now you're finally imagining yourself hiking one of those peaks and getting excited to do so. I know for myself, like I told you, I finally jumped to doing the incline last year for the first time after worrying about it for years. And now I think it's a wonderful thing, and I actually went and did it this morning, and I'll tell you, the view from the top is amazing, and I think that's how it is with foster care too. If you just sort of break it down into manageable steps like we did today and make it to the top, it's going to feel worth it, like Beverly mentioned, and certainly the view from the top is amazing, and you're going to be surprised at the fact that you made it to the top, and won't be able to, you'll want to be able to continue doing it. So we hope this process has really solidified your commitment and hopefully increased your understanding of the process. And hopefully, as I mentioned, above all, enabled you to consider yourself or your family as a foster family. So Michael's going to walk you through this call to action page here, and feel free to contact me with any questions that you might have afterwards, or if there's certain issues that you want to talk about one-on-one, we're here for you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Amy. You have in front of you an image of a web page we're going to make available to you in a couple of minutes. And there's just some different ways of contacting Kids Crossing. Let me just briefly walk you through each one. First of all, you have the telephone information for each of the offices. You can get a hold of an intake person at each of those offices. There may be some reading you would like to do about some of the topics we covered today. So we've included a couple documents to cover things of background checks, a little bit more about the financial requirements. There were several questions about that today. And also you might be interested in what the Kids Crossing adoption process is. You can click on the red button in front of each of those items, and you can directly download the PDF from that webpage. You can email Amy direct just by clicking that link there. You might also find visiting the Kids Crossing website worthwhile. You can learn more about the organization, the staff, the programs. Now, you may have some particular questions that you would like to discuss directly with somebody in private, and you can give us a little information about those. Check the particular interest you have in terms of maybe you want to learn more about a particular issue you have with background checks or the financial requirements. You want to talk about some specifics about the adoption procedures, or maybe there are just some general questions that you would like to dig into a little bit more in depth. You might also be ready to start the journey. You can click the box there to indicate to have an application sent to you. If you do click one of these boxes, would you please give us your first and last name and your email address? We would appreciate your telephone number as well, but we certainly would understand if you choose not to share that. If you wish, you can also describe a little bit more about the particular question or concern you have in the comments box there. And all of the information that's submitted with this form is completely confidential. It will go to Amy. Either she or someone else at Kids Crossing will get a hold of you directly. Well, we want to thank you for watching our webinar today. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you have any questions or would like to visit with someone at Kids Crossing, use the website that will come up here in a minute. We'll leave that up for about 15 minutes. You can directly access from this program and send a message to Amy or someone at Kids Crossing. Thank you for your time today, and we hope you have a good day.